everybody, Caleb here in the Rosa String Works Workshop. Today I've got this Hofner acoustic guitar, and this should be a bolt-on neck or adjustable to some degree, but what it needs is a neck reset or an adjustment, and it seems to be stuck, or that's what the customer says. I haven't really had a good chance to look at it. Right now it's got nylon strings on it, and the customer said that was to keep the tension on it low, but where he could still play it. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is get these strings loose, and we're going to take a look at how stuck the neck is. So here we go. So I pulled the screw out of this hole. I just unscrewed it and took off the little ferrule around it. And Jerry was taking a look in there, and he said he saw a little metal piece in there. I don't know if you're going to be able to really see in that hole, but Jerry said there was a little metal piece in there that it looked like the screw hit against. So I did some searching on the internet, and I found a little diagram. Maybe I can put this on the screen so you can kind of see what it looks like on the inside. This is kind of a side view, but there's a bit of a hook that holds the neck in. And we're trying to figure out a good way to, you have to pull it out to unlatch the hook. So I've been using the little dental picks to try to get behind it to pull on it. It's not been working really great. I think I'm getting stuck more over on the wood and not behind the metal piece. There's not a lot to show here, but I thought I'd explain where I'm at. So I'm going to try to keep working at this, and if I make any progress, I'll bring you back to show you.
Caleb's been working on this Hofner guitar, and I had him take the fingerboard off of it because we just couldn't come up with a way to get this out of here. Yes, there's a latch there. Yes, we can get a hold of it with the hook, and yes, we can pull it forward, and no, it doesn't loosen it up. We cannot figure out why it won't come out of there. We've beat on it, we've twisted on it, tried to let gravity help us by turning it up a different direction. We've tried everything we can think of. And we've looked at the drawings online, and by what we're doing, it should come out of there, and it won't come out of there. And I don't know if they just accidentally made it slightly off, and once they got it in there, it just won't unhook far enough to come out. We just don't know what the problem is. But it's some problem. We thought it was glued in. We don't think it's glued in now. Okay, so here's the problem. This is a thin piece of wood that's laid over the top of this. I don't know. I'm tempted to cut it off. I think it might come off, but then again, I'm afraid what I'm really going to run into, I'm afraid it's going to be solid in this area right here. And I'm just drawing this on here just as an idea. I have a feeling that this part here is just sticking out over this. I was wanting to cut it off like right here and lift this whole thing off, but I have a feeling it won't lift off because I have a feeling it's still attached in this middle area here. So I don't know if cutting that off is going to do it for me or not. I was just about ready to cut it off. That's why I turned the camera on. But now that I double thinking it or rethinking it, I'm not sure that's going to help me. I mean, we could always cut it here and here if we had to, but doggone, we thought by taking the fingerboard off we could see down in here. We might see something that would give us a clue. I'm tempted to go ahead and take the whole truss rod out if we can get it out, but the truss rod seems to be stuck in there. It doesn't seem like it wants to play fair either. Like we can't really get much headway no matter what we do on this thing. And we've tried a lot. We have really tried a lot off camera. It's not like it was just a one-shot deal here. And we can see the whole neck move. You can probably see it on camera there. It's moving compared to the top. And I almost guarantee you it's just something that they've, manufactured just slightly off, and this hook just isn't coming forward enough. I can get a hold of the hook, spin this around with this wire and pull the hook forward. I can see the hook pull forward, and it comes right up to the front of the hole like it's supposed to, but it doesn't release this thing. And I just don't know what else to try. We took the screw out here thinking that might have locked something in, but nothing has worked. So, guess I'm going to have to back up 5 and punt or something. So, if we come up with a really revolutionary idea, we'll show you. Okay, we've tried some more off camera, you can get a hold of that lever in there and pull it forward, and it comes forward just like it should and just like it shows in the drawings online, and it still doesn't release anything. We even, as we had it held forward, we tapped on it with a rubber mallet, we tried to wiggle it, nothing makes it come loose. And it doesn't come loose at all. I mean, if you could see it making progress, that'd be different. We don't see any progress whatsoever. Therefore, it's time to go to extreme measures. And I don't like extreme measures, but you got to do what you got to do. And I'm looking for my extreme safety glasses here. So here we go. I'm going to use the razor saw to saw across here because this line you will see, and this cuts a much finer line. So we'll cut that with this if we can. It's going in there, but it's hard to cut a blind end hole like this, or a slot. And I'm not cutting all the way through the material, all the length of the material. There, I feel like I went through. I feel like I just dropped through just then. There you go. Okay, that gives us access to this slot. Not that it's going to buy us much, but we've got access. All right, so I'm going to just write a B on here for base. And then we know it kind of goes that way. And I'm going to turn it around, cut this one too. And we'll see what happens with this one. I don't think this is really the total answer, but it's the only solution I've got at the moment. You got to do what you got to do. I feel like we've exhausted all of the practical solutions here. All right, so you can see it now. You can see it even moving more. Did it really help us? I didn't exactly expect a miracle, but I thought maybe I could find some way to stick something down in here. Maybe there's, who knows what the real problem is here. My guess is that hook is just slightly deformed, or maybe they got the hole slightly in the wrong place, and it was enough that they could force it in there and it latched, but yet it won't back up quite enough to unlatch. That's my thinking on it. That's what I think it is. I just think it's a slight manufactured defect, if you want to call it that. I could be wrong. It may just be something wrong with our technique, but boy, I tell you what, I've tried about every technique a man could think of, especially based on the drawings that we could see of this online. We'll show you what we're doing here. I'm going to grab this again, this hook. I can reach down in there, get behind the hook, pull it, the lever I should call it, I guess. It's got a hook on the one end of it, I think. Yeah, I'm pulling it all the way to the front of the hole. I can see it right there at the end of the hole. I thought maybe just by knocking that little bit off, we might get a little bit more flex that might just give us enough movement. You try it again. You try wiggling and pulling and see if you can get it off while I'm holding the...
Sorry.
I'm holding the lever forward and I'm having Caleb trying to wiggle the neck out of there. So you can hear my lever moving back and forth. It's moving freely actually, even when he's pulling on it. So that's making me think something else is holding something in here. Like maybe they glued it along this bottom, and maybe when we see this movement, because I do think the neck block is moving too. Yeah, in fact I know it is. I can feel it moving. So maybe they glued it across the bottom, and maybe they glued it across the bottom of this when they put it in there, or somebody after the factory did that perhaps. In fact, I think, didn't the customer indicate that could have happened? Yeah. So more than likely it did happen, because we can't get to it. And we can't get it out of there. And I'm pretty sure that this neck is glued to the neck block inside there. And because when I'm wiggling this, I can actually feel the neck block move a little bit. So, boy, I don't know if that's even possible to fix without just doing major destruction. Because there's no way to get under it. I don't think the back of this, I don't think that slot goes straight through. I think it's offset and then down. So in other words, we'd have to go this way and then go down. We can't just go straight down. That's the problem. If we could go straight down, we could separate this from that block. But I don't think we can go straight down. We tried that actually. And I think if anything, we're busting the block when we do that. Oh my goodness. I seriously don't know what to do with this. In all the years I've been doing this, this is one of the most perplexing ones that just doesn't seem to have an option. I mean, it really just doesn't seem to have an option until I just saw this. Okay, I just saw something here that I hadn't really, maybe I saw this before, but I didn't realize what it was. I think I see the seam of the bottom of this neck right here inside the block. I see it there now, and I can pretty much tell that it's glued. In other words, this is glued to the block inside, and I can see the seam of it right here now, which I don't think I ever saw that before. I guess I got it. I mean, I saw something in there, but I didn't realize that's what it was. And now that we've taken this all off, and I can tell this goes straight down right there, that's what that is. That's the back of the neck, and it is glued to the block because it's not moving independently of the block. All right, well, at least now I have a little more information. What we might try doing, and this would be crazy almost, is to find something right angle that we can put right on that seam and somehow hammer into that seam. If we could, or heat it up and stick it into that seam maybe. That's the only option I think we've got at this point in time. It's to stick something down in that seam. The problem is on a right angle like that, it's hard to get leverage and it's hard to be accurate and hit the seam. It's got its own problems for sure, and not to mention that the seam is actually hidden by this brace. So you can probably see the brace there. The seam is right at the bottom of that brace, straight in like that. And like I said, I hadn't really noticed that that's what that was before. I saw it, but I just didn't realize that's what it was. Now I know that's what it is. So let's see what we can do with that, now that we know that.
So I was working a knife underneath the seam on the inside, and also along the seams on the side, and I did finally get it out. Here you can see what this part looks like. You can see the glue. It's just white hot glue, I think. That's what Jerry seems to think. So I'm going to try my best to get this all cleaned up now. Put anything back together I have to at this point, and we can then start looking at what it's going to take to get this neck angle right. Alright, so I've been working on cleaning the Hofner up, and I think what I'm going to do so we can start working on the neck joint is get the fretboard glued back on. I've already gone ahead and put 2 little nails in there. There's one here, one down here, and there's 2 little holes for them to index into. So I'm really thinking I'm ready for glue here. And that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to put glue on here. So the neck is still drying on this Hofner, but I've started working on the neck block a little bit more. I don't know if you noticed, but the top was actually loose from the block. We saw that when we would move the neck and the block would move. So I've got a wedge in here, and it's against this brace and the block, and it's actually pulling the top away from the block. This helped me get a little blade in there to clean out any old glue, and there was definitely some old glue in there, so it's nice and clean now. So I'm going to try to get some glue in there and get this clamped back up so that by the time this is dry and the neck will be dry, we'll be good to go on getting the neck fit in there well. Alright, I'll try to get some glue in there with this. I'm pressing it in to try to work the glue in deeper. It's definitely worked it in because now there's a gap there. I'm going to try to fill that with glue again. I'll try to clean up this side, and then we'll turn it over and do the other side. So I figured while the neck was out of this Hofner, I'd go ahead and just fill the old tuner holes. They've got these new tuners on here, and the old holes are still there. So I'm just going through with toothpicks and glue and just filling the old holes. So I put a little glue on the toothpick. I found it makes a little bit mess if I can just get it on the toothpick rather than trying to put it in the hole. Toothpick in the hole. Clip it off. Wipe off the excess, make sure it's pushed in all the way. And on to the next one. So just something I thought I would do while it's sitting here. So we've got everything glued back together for the most part on this Hofner. You can see everything's looking pretty good. I've gone ahead and actually made a wedge in place of the little block that was on the inside. I think this is going to work a little bit better, provide a little bit more support rather than just one little block and lots of empty space. I am going to tack this in there with just a small dot of glue, so if it had to come out it could, but this way it won't move. I'm going to give that a minute to tack up, and then I think we're just about ready to start putting this all the way back together. So for one reason or another, it's been a while since I've been able to get back to this Hofner guitar. I don't exactly remember where I left off at this point. So we've got strings on it, and the neck angle's looking good, and the string height is looking good. A couple of things we had to do when we were setting it up, I know, was we had to move this E-string in a little bit. The neck is a little bit crooked, so we actually shimmed the neck in the slot for it to maybe move the neck in, and I had to move the E-string in just a little bit. Anyways, it's looking okay. I mean, if you were really looking for it, you could probably see it, but right now it's pretty good and it's well playable, so that's really the big thing. As I was looking back at the customer's note, he asked that we install some side dots in this. So I've got the little white rod out, and I'm going to go ahead and mark this up. I'm going to use the awl to just poke some holes, and I'll probably just eyeball this, I think. So I'll put it in my lap, and I'll just line it up with the dot on the board, and I'll mark it with this and then drill it with the 16th drill bit. So now that I've got all the holes drilled, I'll take my white stick and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on it. I'm going to use the superfatic glue. I might be able to just put it in the hole. And that'll leave it a little proud, and once it has some time to set up, I will come back through and make sure that it's nice and flush. So this has had far ample time to dry, far longer than I had originally intended. But anyway, I've come back to it now, and I'm putting pieces of tape on each side just because it's painted, and hopefully that'll keep me off the black paint with the file. And I'm just using a file and knocking that inlay, the side dot, smooth. Alright, those are looking really good. I'll finish that up off camera and we should be good to go. Well, I'll be totally honest with you, it's been a long time since I've filmed anything on this Hofner. It's been kind of an off and on guitar for me, and it's been hard to keep track of where we are. I think we're done. I read over the note again, just to make sure that we did everything the customer asked of us, and I think we're good to go. You know, we did some major surgery on this thing, trying to get this neck off of here, with it being glued on and the mechanism that changes the neck angle on it. So we've got it working now, so you can actually change the neck angle with the screw behind the neck in the heel area. So that helps us get the action set right. The other thing I did that the customer asked was put the side dots in, and they look pretty good. And it should be set up to play now. So with a little bit of a dusting, I think this thing should be ready to go. I'll clean it up one more time real good. I'll set it aside for Jerry to look at, and this thing should be on its way. Hope you enjoyed watching this Hofner repair. If you did, a thumbs up would be appreciated, and even more would be a subscribe. Thanks for watching.